Can you please mute your microphones? Let us have just the person who is speaking with his mic on. Otherwise, you will have crisscross of people talking. Can you make out from here whose mic is on? Yeah, just you just have to warn them to put it on. I want to remind you that when the lockdown was ordered, we had suspended civil aviation operations, both domestic and in the international sector, along with metro transportation, railways, etc. And in spite of a lot of enthusiasm and attention on social media and elsewhere, I have repeatedly maintained that decisions on resumption of civil aviation operations, both domestic and international, still remain to be taken. In other words, normal domestic and international flights will continue to remain suspended till the 17th of May. I'm reiterating that so that there is no conceptual confusion between what we are planning to do now and the resumption of normal civil aviation operations. The present exercise is a limited exercise to address the problems of those of our citizens who are in foreign countries and who are distressed and find themselves stranded, either because their visas have run out, or they are being deported, or they went to these countries just before the lockdown for work and need to get back. So a comprehensive plan has been drawn up to address the particular issue of those of our citizens who find themselves distressed and have been stranded in foreign countries. Let me just give you an indication of the number of flights that we are planning to mount during the first week of the resumption or the commencement of this operation. And I mean the period between May 7th to May 13th. We have worked out those details, and these involve 10 flights from the UAE, 2 flights from Qatar, 5 flights from Saudi Arabia, 7 flights from the United Kingdom, 5 flights from Singapore, 7 flights from the United States, 5 flights from Philippines, 7 flights from Bangladesh, 2 flights from Bahrain, 7 flights from Malaysia, 5 flights from Kuwait, and 2 flights from Oman. This brings the total number of flights that will be operated during the first week to 64. Now, if you have to bring 64 flights in at a time when we are under lockdown, this necessarily involves working out very detailed arrangements with a number of authorities. To start with, the Airports Authority of India, because the airports will have to receive these 64 flights in the first week. And I want to mention to you that since this is work in progress, today at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m., the chairman of the Airports Authority of India will be hosting a VC with all concerned airports and state health authorities and the Ministry of External Affairs. Equally, the operation of these 64 flights has become possible only because we have received the cooperation, the full cooperation of the state governments. Now, the flights which will come in will not be normal commercial flights, that the flight comes into, say, Delhi, and then people take different flights to their homes. For instance, a flight which is coming in who already has a destination. Now, I want to give you, I gave you the total number of flights from different areas, from different parts of the world. Let me also share with you the destinations. Out of the 64 flights, 15 countries will be coming to Kerala. This brings the total number of passengers to 3,150. 11 flights from 9 countries would be coming to Tamil Nadu, which makes it 2,150 passengers. 7 flights from 6 countries will come to Maharashtra, which comes to 1,900 passengers. 11 flights from 9 countries are scheduled to come to the National Capital Region, Delhi, but that may take 1 or 2 days extra because we need to put in arrangements for these passengers along with the state governments concerned, the government of Delhi and elsewhere. So there may be delay in this. 7 flights from 6 countries involving 1,750 passengers to Telangana. 5 flights from 5 countries totaling 1,100 passengers to Gujarat. 1 flight to Punjab, 200 passengers. 3 flights to Jammu and Kashmir, 600 passengers. 3 flights from 3 countries to Karnataka, 650 passengers. Uttar Pradesh, 1 flight, 200 passengers. I am only sharing with you the civil aviation component. I am not going into details on those of our countrymen who find themselves stranded or are distressed in the Middle East, in countries of the Gulf region, who would be brought, let's say, on naval platforms or other forms of transport. I again want to reiterate that this is a special evacuation mission, and all those who will avail of this or can avail of this will have to be charged. And I'm going to read out to you the rates on which passengers who wish to avail of this will be charged. I will give you a few illustrative examples. And on arrival, all the passengers will have to be screened and will have to be subjected to a 14 days quarantine period. Now, this will be made known to everyone prior to them being offered this facility. On the aircraft itself, all protective measures will be taken as per prescribed protocol. Let me share with you the rates which have been fixed for these journey. London, Mumbai, which involves a flight of about 9 hours. The rate approximately is about 50,000 rupees or British pounds 540. Similarly, for flights from London to Ahmedabad, London to Bangalore, London to Delhi, Chicago, Delhi, Hyderabad, which is a 14 hours, 35 minutes flight. The rough cost would be about 100,000 rupees or 1 lakh or $1,360 or thereabouts. Same for flights from San Francisco, Newark, or other IADs from DC, Washington, DC. These are roughly all journeys involving 14 and a half hours or 15 hours. Dhaka, Delhi, as a 2 hour, 15-minute journey, rough cost in Indian currency, 12,000 rupees or $160. Dhaka, Srinagar, 3 hours, 30 minutes, and so on. I have the rates for others. I'd be happy to answer those. I also want to share with you a larger issue. The overall scheme for evacuation of Indians, which has been worked out, was initially confined to, say, about 200,000 or 190,000 people wishing to come back in particular. As the Ministry of External Affairs and the other concerned agencies, the concerned state governments considered this number, it is my understanding that the indication was that many more people, that is over and above the 190,000, expressed an interest to travel. Now, I don't know what the final figure will be, but definitely we will have to make sure that we deal with numbers which can be transported safely and which are welcomed by the receiving states, along with all the health infrastructure that will be required, both screening and quarantining, etc. Now, my recollection is that the first...
Mrs. Bina, I know you personally are an outdoorsy person. You're a sports enthusiast. How are you personally dealing with, being closeted in? Are there any special tips? How are you managing that? Because I know you
are addressing the question to me. Hello. Well, I think there's some crosstalk. I would request everyone else to put off their mic so that only the person who's speaking is available in this chat, and then we can always take questions later. So my sense is that in the first week, these 64 flights from 12 countries would bring about 15,000 people. Now, if your number is even 190,000, clearly this will have to be ramped up as we go along. But the ramping up itself will have to be based on the actual experience on the ground. When you operate these flights, what are the SOPs that you follow, both inside the aircraft, at the point of entry at the airport, and other arrangements by the receiving states. So this is broadly the game plan for the first week. I'm very privileged to have with me here the senior management team in civil aviation. I have Secretary Civil Aviation, Shri Pradeep Kharola here. I have the Chairman, Managing Director of Air India, Shri Rajiv Bansal with me. I have Shri Rakesh Asthana, the head of the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security with me. I have the Chairman of the Airports Authority of India, Shri Arvind Singh here. I also have the Director General of Civil Aviation, Shri Arun Kumar with us here. We are ready to take questions which you might have. If you want to give us your comments or raise questions, we'd be very happy to answer them. My only request is that please signal as to who wishes to speak so that your mic can be turned on. Our Principal Director of Information, Rajiv Jain, will moderate the discussion because time is of the essence, and I think since we are embarking on something very comprehensive, I spent 40 years in another profession called diplomacy, and I've gone through many evacuation programs in my long 4 decades there. But I think this is easily the most comprehensive and complicated and challenging evacuation plans, because it's not a evacuation plan which is being held in a normal setting. I mean, we're dealing with an invisible enemy. We are dealing with a virus whose behavior is difficult to predict. And any plan that we make, when we did a civil aviation lockdown, we did it in the expectation that after a while we will get a control on the numbers. And I'm very happy to share with you my assessment that the Prime Minister's very bold, timely, and early action has been able to contain the overall numbers. Which is not to say, I mean, we've to some extent we've flattened the curve, but the curve hasn't come down. I mean, throughout the world, you are looking at, even in countries where the fatality rate is much higher, where the number of cases are much higher, you are looking at the possibility of a second wave. So we have to conduct this whole process of comprehensive evacuation by taking the necessary safeguards or measures which are necessary. Now you have to balance. Those who are in distress, clearly, for them that's a priority. We have to deal with that. I also want to add one other point. Those of our citizens who are normally resident abroad, I mean those people who have regular jobs outside, who are on long-term visas outside, and who need to get back because they have professional lives outside, we will also be attempting to send them on the flights which will be going to those countries. Again, details on that will be available as these flights are opened up. So I'm going to confine myself to these introductory or opening remarks. I'd be very happy first to check with my colleagues, my senior colleagues here, whether they would like to add something. And after that, we will take some questions. Rajiv? Pradeep? Yeah, why don't you give us the online question straight away?
He wants to know, other than Air India, will private airlines also repatriation flights? If so, what are the details of these flights? And in case private airlines are not operating repatriation, what is the reason behind that?
Well, let me first of all share with you that this is a plan which has just been evolved and which is beginning to take shape. In the first instance, that is the first week, we have Air India conducting these flights. As we go along and the numbers increase, it is entirely possible for those of the private airlines which wish to contribute to the evacuation effort, for them also to contribute.
Hello.
Yeah.
He wants to know which other airlines apart from Air India will carry out evacuation. That's good.
I think I've already answered the question. As we go along, the possibility of other players joining in, private airlines joining in, will be considered. We'll be happy to consider that as we go along. So the question of which of those private is not for me to answer. Yeah.
Mantri ji, एक सवाल मेरा भी है.
Any problem? We need to communicate that rightly, but then
many countries.
That we speak for the moment. Of course, coming back to the online question.
Can I request you please to mute your mics?
Of course.
Can I please request you to mute your mics because it's interfering with you? First and foremost, many countries have conducted evacuation flights for their own nationals. Let me clarify. Many countries have conducted evacuation flights for their own nationals. And let's say if it was conducted by a European country, they have also taken EU nationals and maybe some other nationals along. That is a process which is already underway. This is not specific or particular to India. This is a practice which has been in vogue worldwide.
All right, that was the Minister of Civil Aviation talking about the entire evacuation process to bring back stranded Indians who are abroad at this point in time. So essentially, there are going to be 64 flights in the first phase, or there is the next 1 week of beginning May 7th of this particular operation. Air India will be the carrier from several countries. People will be brought back to different parts of India, and all those who opt for this will be charged depending on the flight that they are taking. They will also be screened before they got onto the flight, and they will have to go into a 2-week quarantine once they land in India. That is something that is not going to be negotiable, and that is the process that is going to be followed. So in this first phase, you will have 64 flights carrying out this operation, and in the subsequent phases as well, the private carriers are also likely to get roped in. So that is the entire schedule, the outline of this entire process that the Civil Aviation Minister was just highlighting. But one other point he also mentioned, there is no yet decision that has been taken on commercial operations at this point in time, reiterating that once more.